Vietnam is one of the most beautiful, exciting and budget-friendly countries in the world and one of our favourite that we have visited in the last 12 months, but it is also full of surprises. Before you go, there are some things that you need to know to make your trip more memorable and smooth sailing.
From tips about what food to eat, how to get around, what experiences to do, we're going to go through 20 of the things that you need to know before you go to Vietnam.
Our best tip we are not saving till last, we're giving it to you first up, and that is to do a food tour as soon as you get to Vietnam or within the first couple of days, because that way you can start to understand all the incredible food, all the incredible dishes that Vietnam has to offer. And then when you go to restaurants and markets, you'll know which food to order and it will just make your experience so much better.
Yeah, we did a food tour, a street food tour, and it really gave us an insight of what to eat and some dishes that we probably never would have tried if we hadn't have done that. That also meant that when we were traveling around, all of the street food, we knew what it was and we knew what to try, and we weren't really too worried about trying different things, right? So a really cool thing to do.
We loved our street food tour and we're going to pop all the details down below. If you're in Hoi An, it's definitely one to try out.
So there are a few dishes that you need to try when you go to Vietnam. The first is pho. Obviously one of their most popular dishes, which is a noodle soup, and it comes in a few different styles, so you can get it with beef, with chicken, with all these sorts of things, and every sort of area has their own unique spin on it. Then there's Khao Lao in Hoi An. It's a specialty, this Khao Lao. It's another noodle soup but with special noodles, and these noodles are made like with ash, so pretty interesting. Well, probably it was one of your favorites, wasn't it? You love the Khao Lao, and actually we have some tips on those below, so check that out. Another one is Bung Siu. You'll hear these guys driving around on scooters and they'll be yelling out things like Bung Siu or Banh Mi or all these sorts of things, and you can call them out and then purchase the Bung Siu off them. So that is also a unique experience. And then, of course, you need to try the banh mi's. The banh mi's are all over Vietnam, and that's because the French colonized Vietnam early on, and they left them with a baguette, and the Vietnamese created this banh mi, which is honestly probably one of the world's best sandwiches, so definitely try it.
We loved banh mi's and we were on the hunt for the best banh mi throughout our Vietnamese trip. If you're in Hoi An as well, there is a place called Banh Mi Queen. It is one of the best banh mi rated restaurants in Hoi An, and for good reason. It was really yummy. They filled it right to the brim. I think it was made famous from TikTok, but we loved it and it was definitely one to try.
Yeah.
A few other things to note is that it is fine to drink ice. A lot of people have a misconception to avoid drinks with ice in them or ask for your beer with no ice, but they don't use tap water to make the ice, so it's usually safe.
And then one other food related tip is that when you go to the north, dog meat is actually available and they do use it quite often. So just be wary of that. If you aren't into trying that type of meat, then just keep your eyes out and make sure you ask what type of meat they're using. But for them, it's quite fine and quite normal to eat that type of meat.
So when is the best time to plan your Vietnamese trip? Vietnam has different climates depending on where you are. The north can get quite cold in winter, while the south is warm all year round. The best times to visit are January through to April for dry weather, or September to October if you want to see the lush green rice fields. We spent quite a lot of time in Phu Quoc in October and it was half rainy, half sunny, so if you're looking for an island adventure, Phu Quoc is definitely a place that we'd recommend, but you might want to leave your planning until November and December onwards.
It can also get really cold in the north of Vietnam, so just keep that in mind when packing, to pack really warm clothes if you are going to head up to the north, and check the temperature obviously. The other thing is travelling on Tet, which is the Vietnamese New Year holiday. This can be a very weird time to travel because lots of the shops close for about a week. So if you are going to travel around this time, then just be wary that most of the things that you want to do will not be open.
That actually just took me back to my first time that I ever went to Vietnam 10 years ago. I went in February and everything was shut for a week. That's why I didn't enjoy it as much.
There you go. You heard it here first, folks.
So how do you get around Vietnam? Once you're there, other than your normal route of flying, you can opt for a few different options. One is the sleeper buses. These are the cheapest and most affordable ways to get from each city, and they're a lot of fun. I used these a lot when I was on a budget traveling Vietnam about 10 years ago. We didn't use them this time at all. But there are two versions, so you can get your standard sleeper bus or also your VIP sleeper bus. And basically, yeah, it's a full bus and they have reclining beds the whole way down, so you can get a good night's sleep while you're on the go. Most of them range from about 8 to 14 hours long, but they do pick up around 3 a.m. sometimes in the morning as well. So make sure that you check your time schedules. But it's a really great experience, and when I did them 10 years ago, I absolutely loved them.
Yeah. Honestly, I haven't done them in Vietnam, but I've done them in India, and I don't know if it's the same with you, but with that 3 a.m. drop off or pick up, you kind of need to be prepared. So if you are getting dropped off in a spot, and this happened to me in India, I got dropped off at like 2 a.m. in the morning, and we hadn't organized the hotel properly, so no one was there to let us in, and we ended up sleeping a bit rough, which was funny. So make sure you check what time you're going to be arriving and talk to your hotel before you arrive, so you don't have any mishaps like that. And then the other way you can get around, and once you're in a town, is hire a scooter. These are super cheap. They're like $4 to $6 AUD a day, and they're a really easy way to get around. Make sure you do have your international license, because people do check that, and it's one way you can get caught out and fined. But as long as you've got all that sort of stuff, then hire a scooter, get yourself around the city, but also go for little drives and everything. It's a great way to get around.
Staying connected on your trip. So if you're looking for the best SIM card option, then you can go physical SIM or an eSIM. There are so many different eSIMs online that are easy to use, super easy, like SIM Corner, for example, and there are a bunch of other ones. If you're looking for a physical SIM though, get a Viet SIM. This is the cheapest option for the best coverage, and it's around $5 to $10 USD a month.
Yeah, super cheap. And the other things that you need to get around are some apps. So Google Translate is super important. Lifesaver. Actually, the Vietnamese are quite quick to get out Google Translate for you and start translating, which is fantastic. So if you don't have Wi-Fi, then that's a good option. Otherwise, download the language onto your phone in Google Translate and then take it around. When you come into any problems or anything, everyone's happy to go through Google Translate. So cool thing to have. The other thing is Grab. That's your taxi and scooter taxi app. Also your food delivery app. So it does everything. It does everything.
I think one night we ordered two Vietnamese salads for $6 or something, including delivery, which is wild, and it came within 20 minutes. So Grab is so cheap in Vietnam, and we loved it.
Yeah, and they weren't even like, they were special salads, with
like
edamame beans and like all this other stuff. I can't believe how cheap it was. It made us feel like we should be doing that every day, but we didn't. So the other app to get other than Grab, which is super easy to get around and all that sort of stuff, is Maps.me. So just like Google Translate, on Maps.me you can download the actual map of Vietnam. So then while you're offline, or if you don't have internet, you can still get around. It has all the little locations and everything.
If you are someone who doesn't have data and who doesn't have a SIM card, and you are relying on Wi-Fi wherever you go, there is Wi-Fi pretty much everywhere. It's not so much in the streets when you're walking down like in some countries. Sometimes we do find it. But if you hop into a cafe, every cafe will give you Wi-Fi. If you hop into a shop and just ask for their Wi-Fi, I think they're so accustomed to it now, they'll just give you their Wi-Fi password. So it's super easy to find Wi-Fi wherever you go as well.
So now money tips. Okay, money. Money tips. Cash is king. You go around pretty much all of Asia, cash is king. So make sure you're carrying cash with you at all times, because to buy things from markets, from shops, all of those sorts of things, cash is the main way that people are paying. The other thing is, when you're getting cash out, then a lot of the ATMs can charge you big fees. So some of them charge like a flat 8% fee, which is super big. If you're getting out, $500, then 8% is significant. So what you want to do is go to certain banks. So Agribank is one that will actually charge you a flat fee of, I think, 2,200 or 22,000 dong, something like that, which is probably one of the cheapest. Or otherwise, if you find an international bank like a big branch, then you can take out money like that.
Another thing to note is that they do take card in most places. Like most restaurants and cafes now, convenience stores, all of that do take card. But if you're wanting to go to the night markets and you're wanting to go to little street vendors, that's where you need the cash. So it's probably best to have both. And we took out, I think, around, because you don't want to be carrying wads of cash with you as well. I think at a time we took out around 3 to 5 million dong every single time, which is around $250 to $300.
The shopping in Vietnam is really quite good, and they've got a lot of different things on for sale in these markets, and the markets are heaps of fun. So, you know, that's something that you'll want to do. One thing you need to be or keep in mind is bargaining at these markets. So lots of these places are used to tourists, so the markup on the prices of especially like clothing and everything can be double or triple what they actually want for them. So make sure you do bargain, because if you do go there and pay the price that they ask, which is absolutely fine, if you got the money, go for it, then yeah, you're getting ripped off. So just keep that in mind. As a price guide, halving the price that they tell you is probably a great starting point, but you could definitely go lower, okay? So keep that in mind. The other thing is, if you are on any of the coastal towns and you go to the markets, they have some awesome seafood, like exceptional seafood, and this is where you're gonna get the best prices for seafood. So if you're after lobster, crayfish, all of those sorts of things, go there. But again, you can bargain with those guys. So one way to do it is you bargain with them about buying a couple of lobsters and then including all these other side dishes. So, you know, you can get a full meal out of it. Some unique experiences in Vietnam. One of the ones we went to was in Phu Quoc. We took a ride on the longest gondola ride in the world. And it was much more interesting and much more beautiful than we first expected. So if you do have time to go to Phu Quoc, I don't think it'll be up there in the top places to go in Vietnam, but if you do have time and you want to visit a tropical island that has, you know, the longest gondola in the world and some beautiful beaches, then definitely put that on your list.
So another unique experience is the Hoi An lanterns. Hoi An is the most beautiful little town, and they have a river that runs through the middle, and every single night you can hire a lantern and jump on a boat, and they take you out on the river and everyone releases their lanterns into the water. Not very environmentally friendly,
No.
but it looks really beautiful. We did it, and I don't know if it was because there was a huge water storm and everything was kind of flooding and it wasn't very good, to be honest. Like, in our honest opinion, we didn't love the experience, but we've seen it on TikTok and it does look beautiful when it's not flooding. So could be one to walk past and have a look and see if you're up for doing it the next night perhaps. But Hoi An in general is an incredible place, and one of our favorite in Vietnam. That and Da Nang were definitely our top two. And if you're heading to Hoi An, there is one thing that we would recommend that you do. It was a secret cocktail tour. So basically we found this on Airbnb Experience, and at 5 o'clock we met, and they take you around to 4 unique bars and tea houses, and every single one has their own unique style of cocktail, and they tell you how they make it. They tell you the history of the bar. Yeah, the last one we went to was amazing, and we got to make our own pho cocktail, which tasted like pho, but like an alcoholic version, and it was really, really fun. So we'll pop the details below here for that as well, because that was probably one of the highlights of our Hoi An trip, and we loved it so much. Another unique experience is the Ha Long Bay cruise. We didn't get to experience it this time, but I did about 10 years ago, and it was beautiful. You do like an overnight, 2-night, 3-night cruise depending on what package you choose, and yeah, it's really, really, really cool. Just stunning.
And a little bit of cultural etiquette before you go, because it's really important that you respect the Vietnamese culture when you do head over there. The Vietnamese people are so friendly and so nice, and so, you know, you want to kind of do the things that will show your respect. So one of the things is making sure you do remove your shoes when you enter someone's home or enter a temple, or a good rule of thumb is to see if there's a pile of shoes out the front and then probably take yours off as well. The other thing is you can learn some small phrases in Vietnamese, and this can help you get around, but also it's nice, you know, to learn some things. So one is come on, which is thank you. Abby likes to remember it as come on. So maybe try that one, and if I'm butchering it, I apologize, but that's how I've given it a crack. The other thing is Xin Chao. Xin Chao means hello, and everyone says that, so you can say Xin Chao to everyone. It's really nice, polite greeting.
I think Sin Chow is also goodbye. I think it's like hello, goodbye, like ciao.
There you go.
Could be wrong again, but I'm pretty sure that is correct. And lastly, just to finish with a little mini itinerary, if you're watching this video and you haven't yet planned your trip, here is what we would recommend. If you're wanting beach vibes, chill, and a little bit less hectic, I guess, Phu Quoc is a island off the south coast of Vietnam, and it's beautiful. Really, really beautiful beaches on some sides of it. We have a whole video that we will pop here if you want to learn more about Phu Quoc. We would recommend spending maybe a week to 10 days here. Then there is also Hoi An and Da Nang. Now they're about half an hour away from each other, so you could probably visit both. We loved them both, and we could have spent so much longer there, so we'd probably recommend at least 1 to 2 weeks in either place, so you can, experience it all. Then of course there is Ho Chi Minh, which is the big hustle bustle city of Vietnam, the main city that also used to be called Saigon. So if you love a big city, lots of vibrant action, amazing food, history, all of that, then visit Ho Chi Minh. And then you've also got Ha Long Bay, Hanoi, and then if you want sort of mountainous regions, you can look into a place called Sapa, which is meant to be really beautiful as well.
And that gets us to the end of the video. We really hope you enjoyed this one. Make sure you like it if you did like it, and leave us any comments. If you have any questions, please ask, and if you have any recommendations, please let us know. We would love to know what we missed and what we can see next time.
And then hit that subscribe button because we have so many more good videos coming your way.